如果想睇 notes 嘅同學就
哇，好嘅喎。
睇下先啊。
Lesson
overview 係俾我自己睇嘅，唔係俾大家睇嘅，因為我未寫晒 notes，我仲喺度執緊。Okay. So we'll start our lesson now. So I will try to. 其實大家係咪聽得明中文嘅？我係咪可以用中文講？講翻英文。Okay, so I will start my class in English. So we have a few things to go through first. So we don't have toilet here. If you want to go to toilets, you have to go to the playground over the eastern tunnel, which is like 5 minutes. You have to travel 5 minutes to go to the playground and go to the toilet.
We can do it in the back.
Yeah, you can do it in the back. We have hidden place over here, so you can.
Don't ask.
Yeah. So you can just go to the hidden place.
We give them good fertilizers.
The second thing that we have to write down our name in the class. If you haven't written down your name, you have to write it down. Okay.
So this class is mainly for examinations. So if we finish all the classes and we should pass.
You should
work.
Yeah. And should. Because we can go through the bits of our materials first. Let me just open the stuff up. So what we'll go through is, you see this PDF. So actually this is a PDF from OFCA. So about the exam syllabus of HKRAE. So HKRAE stands for Hong Kong Radio Amateurs Examination. So you see that we have a lot of things to go through. Regulations, interference. So interference is basically like jamming. You have if you have some noise or you can't hear others calling you, so this is what we call interference. And operations, how to operate a radio and the safety procedures, and what is bad practice to call others. And then you see, you will spend a lot of time on radio in electricity, which is like high school physics and year 1 level physics. So we have to go through things like resistance, electricity, current, voltage, that kind of stuff, and inductance, impedance, and what? Capacitance, something like that, which is like year 1 physics stuffs. So you see that from 4.1 to 4.6, we'll spend a lot of time on these concepts. And you see solid state devices like semiconductors. We will see if we got time to go through logic circuits, but if we don't, we'll just skip it, because it's just take 1 questions in over 100 questions, and then blah 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 blah. So we'll go through most of the materials in this part. Okay, so this is our aim of the course. And for the first lesson, we are not going too deep in the syllabus, but we will go through the overall picture of the examination. And okay, so this is our overview. So first of all, we'll have to introduce a bit HARTS. So may I ask Michael to give a brief introduction of HARTS?
HARTS. Let me find something to read. In the past, on the set. No,
let me introduce.
Right hand side, Hong Kong Amateur Radio Splitting Society.
Got
right hand side, established 1929. Have a history of nearly 90 years.
Yes, we have 93 years history of this one. So,
only member.
Yeah. So in the past, amateur radio is not things that everyone can play with. and we are a colony of UK, so they got a lot of restrictions on this. If you can play with amateur radio, you must have a very high status in the society, and you can always join others like the 社會熱達 and play with it. Okay, celebrities. Not celebrities, but like 太平紳士 that kind of role. Yeah. So HARTS is to promote the amateur radio. Apart from the amateur radio, we do stuff like maintaining some repeaters around Hong Kong. So apart from doing stuff like this, we also help with different events. Why we are doing this is because of so imagine that if all the radio station, like your mobile phone station, is off, so what is the last resort to communicate with others? So the last resort is using radio. So radio is basically, if you have one and you switch to the correct frequency, you can communicate with others. So that's why it is very important to learn operating radio and how to use them if you are in emergency. So this is HARTS, and apart from this kind of stuff, we are also a hobby group, and we play with different events like 樂施會 and trainings. We got trainings, and we also play with different contests. So the last contest I've joined is we call a HF contest. IARU HF contest. So HF contest is a contest like you have to communicate with others in a very far away distance, and you try to communicate as much radio as you can in 24 hours. So basically you will connect with others like in the United States and others in Japan or in mainland China. So we also do stuff like this. Like if you just walk through our place, you will see a very large antennas at the backyard of our site. So if we have time, we can go and take a look. But if we have time first, I'm not sure if we have time today, but I will try to walk through the materials quickly so that we have some spare time to ask questions or to do other stuffs. Oh, just a minute. Let me share my slide. Just a minute, so that you can refer to it. Let me record this thing. If you have this link. Oh, can I withdraw it? Oh, did it? Yeah. Yes. Okay. So this is our first slide. So you can view it if you can't see this stream. Okay. Let's continue. So you see there are many prizes and many certs over the room, and this is the proof that we have joined many. We have helped with many competitions in Hong Kong. Yeah. Why radio? So in the past, you see that. Have you ever communicated with this kind of stuff? So you see that I've never played with this. It is not my age. This is my age. Nokia 3310. So this is my age. I have owned this little mobile phone, Sony Ericsson. So if we want to communicate with others, we really depend on our mobile phones these days, and our mobile phones relies on what we call microwave to communicate with the station. So microwave is something that we cannot see, but this is in the light spectrum. Okay. The second thing is, so we got many Wi-Fi's nowadays at home, or we got one Wi-Fi hotspot. I'm not sure where it is. Maybe there. But at home, at your home, you must have seen something like this. So all these two technologies depend on radio microwave. So what microwave is? You can see that in our light spectrum. we have different wavelengths. So visible light is just a very little part of the light that we can see. But apart from that, we got infrared, microwaves, and radio waves. Okay, so radio waves and microwaves are things that we rely on to communicate, but we cannot see them. Oh, and I guess all of you know what's the remaining is: infrared, ultraviolet, and X-ray. So all of them are what we call lights or radiations, but just we can't see them. Yeah. So if others talking about radiations, you don't have to be afraid of it. Visible light is also a kind of radiations. And what it really hurts is the amount of radiations you receive, but not the term itself. Okay. Yeah. So you see that's the ionizing power and non-ionizing. So I have to explain a bit like high school physics. So, oh, you don't have to take notes of this. We are not going to exam stuff like this. Yeah, it's okay. So you see that the higher the frequency, the higher the ionizing radiation is. So what we call ionizing radiation, we are not going to go through this, but it's just a common sense you have to know. For higher the frequency, the higher the energy that a light will contain and will have. So you see that radio waves and microwaves, the energy is a bit lower. It's compared to X-ray, it is very low. Okay. Let's see. Oh, it's slide. Okay. Yeah. So what is amateur radio? We have talks about what is the radiation and what is visible light. So radio operations, you see that from the other perspective, from others' perspectives. So we got a lot of apparatus in this room, so we can take a look later time. This is just like playing with different lab apparatus, right? You have to control every stuff. But actually, what we are going is we just sit here and we listen to the radio. You know what I mean once you finish this class. After you do the hands-on stuff. So amateur radio, we also known as ham radio. So why is it called ham radio? We got 2 to 3 origins, but the most common one is ham comes from an defected key. I don't know why, but they call it. So when they type the key, they just put it. The output will become HAM. So this is the reason why we call amateur radio as ham. But the word ham is being widely used now. So for amateur radio operator, we'll call ourselves ham. Okay. So it is a hobby and service to communicate with others using the designated radio frequency. Okay. So in other words, if you are not using the same frequency to communicate with others, you cannot send or receive signals from others. You have to know which frequency the sender is using, and you have to know which frequency you are listening. Just like listening to FM radio, you have to tune your FM radio to listen to the exact frequency. Like RTHK2, you have to listen to 96.9 megahertz. It's just like the same. And for amateur radio, will commonly communicate using 3 different bands: VHF, UHF, and HF. Okay, so VHF and UHF is we call the short distance communications, but we call short is like among 50 km. Yeah. And HF we can go through thousands of kilometers. So I have seen someone communicate with send signal to South America. South America? No. Is it South America? Let me see. Yes, South America. Yeah. So it is like over 6,000 kilometers. So this is how HF can work to communicate others cross boundary. Yeah. But before you use this kind of frequency to communicate with others, you will have to follow the instruction of ITU. So there are some bands that are for emergency purpose or for business purpose, and you always have to follow the rules in Hong Kong or for from ITU. So ITU is an organization to control all the bands, how these bands are operated, and what I mean is how this band should be used. I should address like this. Like there are some bands that is dedicated for the ships or what we call watercraft. So we can't use this kind of frequencies when we operate our radio. Okay. As I have just talked about, ham radio is not just an hobby, but we really do emergency communications. So one very good example is HARTS. So we have, before I joined, so I guess I missed my introduction, right? Just a minute, where's my introduction? Hey. How come I really removed my page? Let me introduce myself first. So I'm Byron, and my call sign is VR2URL. So you can call me URL. So this is how we address ourselves and call ourselves as a ham, as a radio operator. So like we got Michael over here. We'll call him I forgot your call sign, XMH. I can call him XMH to address him. Yeah. So I work in IT field. I've just passed the HKRAE in May. So I got a very fresh memory of this course. And I work in IT field, and I've just graduated from universities for like 6 years. Yeah. So I'm working in IT field for a short time. Yeah. Okay.
All right. The
Byron.
call sign that you have,
Yeah.
did you made it up, or you have to follow?
We have some rules. Like they LFCA will give us a manual, and we'll choose from it. Yeah.
It's a bit like choosing your mobile phone number when you
Yeah.
go to the station.
There are rules.
They have a list.
Yeah,
that
there are some
they have,
rules.
There are
like,
rules for
limits.
you to choose.
Yeah.
If you
So-
pass the general examinations, you can choose the
Two
three
alphabets
letters.
or 3 letters, right?
Yes.
We call it 2 by 2. Actually, VR is the area.
So I will go through
Okay.
the call signs later,
Yeah.
and I will go through it once again in the second lesson, because the rules behind is one of the it's part of the exam materials.
Yes.
So you have to know how the call sign is being chosen before you go to exam center. Otherwise, you will fail the course. Yeah. It may appear or not, but if it appears, you will know how to answer the questions. Let me see. Yeah. I'm here. Okay. So HARTS have just go to Sichuan in 2008, and at the time, HARTS have set up some radio stations to help with to operate radios to help with others after the earthquake. So you know, 2008 they are very catastrophic incidents in Sichuan. The earthquake occurs. Yeah. So after the incident, the Chinese government gave kudos to the amateur radio operators, and at that time, because all the infrastructures cannot be used, so set up the amateur radio to communicate with others is a very important stuff, and it is the last method that we can use to communicate with others in Sichuan. Okay. And apart from that, we can use it as a lifesaver. So you can see this as an example. Should be in UK. Yeah. Let me see if we got any more examples. Yes. And why we are doing volunteer works with others is because Like in Hong Kong, we've got a lot of mountains, and there are many spots that we cannot use our mobile phone to call others. So the last way we can communicate with others is we set up radios, and we will have other volunteers to travel in the path. Like we've got some different stations standing by amongst the mountains. So when we go to at every checkpoint, we have some bodies and see if there are anyone need to help. And we got volunteers to travel between the checkpoints. So one time is let me check. I go to Longzai. Yeah, I go to Longzai, and then we got HARTS and set up repeaters in Longzai. And we really see that there are a lot of people. They don't have enough energies, and they nearly fainted, or they got injuries, like they've broken their ankles, and they need help. So radio will be the last method that we can call for help. So who can be a hand? So everyone. Basically, if you know how to answer the questions in exam and you pass the exam, you can be a hand. So it's very important. You need a license before you can be a hand. But once you pass the questions, pass the exam, you can find any ways to enjoy the ham radio. So let us go through some of the history. Oh, Marconi, yes. So radio was first developed by mostly notable by Marconi. So this is what he have done is he do a demonstration in 19th century that's using radio waves to do a long distance communications. So that's why we sometimes will address him as a father of radio. So we got links here, so you can go to the Google and try to see what we have done. And in the early days, we used radio as a point-to-point communications, like using Morse code. So I have to explain why we use Morse code instead of radio. So Morse code, this is da-di, things like this, just dots and dashes. So you use binary to represent our messages. So they got a very high reliability, and you don't have a lot of noise to filter. So it is very clear that it is a dash or a dot. So this is why we use them in communications. Very reliable and very easy to hear. Distinguish the words, the alphabets. Let me see, that should be alphabets. And in the 20th century, we started using radio stations to do broadcasting. So you can see that we have got AM radio stations, FM radio stations. So this is firstly developed in the 1920s. So we start using of the radio waves for entertaining and news and music. So in the World War II, radio is also used very easy to, how should I address it? Very essential in the military zone. Yeah. But in these days, we got our internet, so there are much less people joining in the ham because they use mobile phones and they do other stuff. They got other hobbies. So I'm very happy to see all you guys here to join our class. Okay, so our aim of this course, the first thing, as I've just mentioned, if you don't pass your exam, you can't play anything here. There are some exceptions, but mostly yes. You can't operate without others. What is the term? Yeah. So you can't operate the radio station on your own. Yeah. Without supervision. Yes, I missed the term. Yes, you in the legal terms they use supervision. And once you pass out the exams, you can get your amateur station license and authority to operate. So we call them ASL and ATO. these two terms will frequently appear in our class, especially in the next lesson. And the third thing, if you have if you already paid for the $800, you are already a ham. Okay, so the last thing is engage in different ham activities. So we fear a very lack of volunteers to help with different events. So if you have your license, you can join us and play with the ham events, like the different contests or volunteer works. Okay. Oh, maybe I can show you what is the ATO. Let me see. So ATO is just a little card here. This is ATO, like this. So we got the name and call sign over here. I'm not going to pass it around because it got my ID here, so you can just see. I can show you.
We just got it.
No, I have to cover with my ID. So it's a piece of paper like this. Yeah. But for the ASL, it is a very big piece of documents. Like it consists of 8 pages. Yeah, it's something like this. Yeah. So let's continue. Okay. So we have to go through how to get our license. It's the most important part of our course, right? Okay. So OFCA have mostly all the information you need. We will go through nearly most of them in our next 2 lessons. So what we are going to cover in our next 2 lessons, we are going to talk about the license and the laws and regulations in draft by OFCA. So you can see that the Annex A and Annex B1. We are going to go through these 2 in our next lesson. And also Annex E. So if you are interested, you can go through all the materials first before I explain it. Oh, I have to explain it this one first. Let's go to here. So our HKRAE will hold twice in Hong Kong per year. So it is very likely to held in April and October. But the last time they hold it is in May. So I'm not sure if they will become in November this time. So you have to be aware of this. And I will
It's
a
keep
long test, it's 1 day.
3 hours. It just PK 唔好意思，都門開咗。Thank you. The test will consist of 3 hours. Okay, this is AMT. AMT is the Morse code. So if you already know Morse, you can of course go to take the exam. But if you don't know, we are not going to cover Morse in our class.
Okay.
Yeah. So you don't have to. You don't need this line. Okay. So I will explain the details of HKRAE later. Okay. So yeah. So you see that it is usually in April and October, and announcement will be made about 3 months in advance. So it is now in July, right? So you can count July, October, September. So it's very likely to hold in October. I'm not sure. So you can check in October. Okay. And the URL here is wrong. I don't know why, but they give us a wrong link. But this part of information is copied from OFCA. The link is actually here. Here. This is the correct link. Okay. So you can go back to my slides and check. And the second thing, HKRAE will have 100 multiple choice in Chinese or in English. Usually before you go to the exam center and register for the exam, you can choose to answer the questions in Chinese or English. Or they will give you a question book in either Chinese or English. So I take my exam in Chinese, and for some very weird words, like they will give the English translation. They will give me the English term side by side. So that's my experience. But if you're already very familiar with English, so you can just take the English paper, and especially you have some backgrounds, like if you are doing physics in high school with English, I would suggest you to go directly to English. Don't think of Chinese. And we are in an English class, right? So you just take English. You don't have to beware of the Chinese. Just forget it. Okay? And each question will have 4 options. So we'll go through some sample questions in our class. So there will only be 1 question. There are no multiple correct answers in your questions. The worst case is only they give you 1, 2, 3, 4 options, and the answers like, is it 1 and 4 correct, 2 and 3 correct, that kind of stuff. No. The questions is quite straightforward. Don't overthink the questions. Okay. Blah blah blah. And you see that the passing mark is 50 marks. So you just have to answer half of the questions correct, and then you can go to apply and you can pass the exam. Okay. NXT, NXF, NXG. Oh, I would also suggest you to take a very quick look at NXT first. So NXT is our syllabus. So that is what we will go through in our class. NXF is the sample questions, so we will go through them together. And NXG should be the reference book. So we are not going to use the reference book. So all the reference books have a thickness like this, over 1,000 pages. So you don't have to read it. Don't read the reference book. Okay.
I remember in the old days, there's a separate section that you have to pass.
Yeah.
It's not like 50 question overall. It's like 10 question law and regulation that you have to pass like 70% of that. That means you can only get 3 wrong, and then the rest 90 questions you can have like 50% or
really?
70%. Is this still the same?
No.
Same here?
No.
So it's like
just overall. Yeah.
Okay, so it's much better.
Yeah, so if you're a lawyer, you can pass it today.
Yeah. Yes. And so you don't have to worry about it. Like, because I've just just passed the exam, there are around 40% of the questions asked about the law and regulations.
Oh, that's a lot.
So if you
pass only 10%, only 10 questions, right?
Yeah.
And then
So
the rest is like calculations, physics.
Yeah. But the calculations
Electronics.
takes nearly over 15% of the whole. Oh, you will score 15 marks if you make all the calculation correct, and the rest of them will be some concepts in theories of the radio. So if you're very good at maths, you can train yourselves. But the questions are very, very simple, so you will go through them. Yeah. So you can, once you pass the exam, I would suggest you to apply for the ASL and ATO at the same time to prevent any trouble. Yeah, just apply 2 of them. I will apply all of them. And choose your call sign and apply for the cert. I will suggest you to do all the stuffs. And I've also applied for the passing certificate.
What's ASL and ATO?
ATO is green card decision.
ASL is the license, which consists of 8 pages. We will show you. Oh, maybe I can show you today. Before we go to. Oh yes, because we will go through the short form of this. Yeah, we will use ASL and ATO very likely in our next lesson. So you can. Oh, maybe we can take a look first. Okay. So this is the ATO.
This is
Well, it is ASL. It's ASL. Hey, it's ASL.
This is when you have the radio. You need the license for the radio.
Yes.
And the other license is for the ham.
No.
So that's,
you can think in this way. The license is authorizing you to operate and establish a station, and the ATO, the green card, is just like a compact version of the license. So you can bring it to other places and operate other
So
radio.
when you own a radio, you need another license for it.
No, you don't. Okay, if you have ASL, you can do all the things. But normally, no people will bring all these X pages to other places, right? So for this reason, they designed a very little green card for you to bring with you, so that you can, when you go to other places, and when the police is checking your validity, you can show them the green card and saying you that, hey, I have the authority to operate the radio. So you don't have to bring this ASL with you. This is why we will suggest you to apply both of them. If you will establish and buy radio and go to other places to operate, this is why we will suggest you to apply both of them. So when you apply both of them, you don't have to worry a lot of the details, very fine details in this regulation. Yeah. So there may be some gray zones in this ASL. So if you apply both of them, you can prevent a lot of troublesome. Yeah. But you must have this one to set up and use the radio. So ASL is the most important one. Okay. So we're not going to go for it. And wait, let me open. Oh yeah. So this is the ATO. So this is the front and the back of the ATO. So this is the front, and this is the back. Okay. So it will become a very small card in an ID card size. Yeah. So this one will be the ATO. So you can bring this one outside your home, and you don't have to worry about the license. So we'll go through the two differences in the next lesson. We are not going to explain it now, because it is a bit complicated to explain. Okay, so we have. Okay, so we'll just stop here and we'll go through. Okay, when you are applying for ASL, they will also ask you to choose your call sign. But it is a bit different. If you go to their office, and they will ask you to choose 3 call signs first. Your first priority, second priority, and the third priority. If you are very unlucky that your first priority is being chosen, they will give you the second choice. They will automatically assign your second choice as your call sign. So the call sign follows a first come, first served approach. So I will suggest you to, if you have passed your exam and they give you the letter, just go to OFCA office in Wan Chai and Wu Chung building and get your call sign as soon as possible. So at my time, yeah, at my time, and when I just passed my exam, that day, cause my aircon is broken, and my mom asked me to help her to fix the aircon. So I have applied for a half-day leave, and by the lunchtime when I go back home, I see there is a letter from OFCA that's sent to my mailbox. And then of course I open it up and say, hey, I've passed the exam. So after I finish fixing the aircon, I bring with my mom and bring with the letter and go to OFCA and apply for the course. Yeah, aircon. Not the aircon. And my aircon is still broken at this time. I can't fix it.
Are we allowed to change the call sign if say a few years?
Yes,
later?
yes, you can.
apply.
And I'm planning to change my call sign. planning. Cause I will explain it why I'm going to
Did you
choose the call sign.
choose the call sign because you are IT guy? URL.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And
Why don't you choose www?
of course www is occupied already. Yeah.
And it's troublesome to mention on RT. Whiskey.
Yeah, whiskey. But my cosine is also troublesome at the same time. Uniform Romeo Lima. Yeah. So
太冲动了。
yeah. No. Okay. So you can, if you are planning to choose your cosine, you can view this one. So we are, once you pass this course, we are the class Morse code ability and assist and recognize foreign amateurs with Hong Kong radio, Hong Kong identity card. So basically, if you pass HKRAE but you didn't take any exams in Morse, what you can choose at most is VR2U to VR2Z. Okay. So we can have a quick look. Oh yeah, let me explain this first. Why we are called VR2? VR2 represents Hong Kong, and we have different ITU prefix to represent a place. Like in China, they use BG, and in Taiwan it is also B, but I forgot what is the next letter. So America they use start from A, and New Zealand is ZG, something like this. So if you're very familiar with the cosine, and when people talk about VR2, so you immediately know where it comes from. Yeah.
Before handover, it wasn't VR2.
Yeah, it's VS6. S6. But VS6 is no longer used, starting from 1993. So yeah, so all of the people are using VR2 now. There are no VS6 at the moment. Okay.
Normally,
No more VS6.
this alphabet is in time with aircraft registration.
Oh, really?
Before handover, all the aircraft in Hong Kong it is VR dash hotel golf. In America, it's
I just open it, then check, see if there's anything I should no. So the last three letters is how we represent ourselves. But you know that the first letter is fixed. So we can choose amount U to Z. Okay. So that's why I choose U and URL. So this is not a coincidence, but I chose this for purpose, in purpose. Yeah, choose it in purpose. Yes. So I will explain this very long paragraph, but it boils down to if you have passed HKRAE, the examinations, but you didn't take any exam in Morse, so you can choose only amount U to Z and combine with two letters. So you know that's my cosine URL. U, that means I've passed HKRAE, but I didn't take any exams in Morse. Okay. So RL is the two letters I've chosen. And if you pass Morse code, but the Morse code is is 5 words per minute, so you can choose ABC, from AAA to CZZ. Letter ABC followed any combinations of two letters, so it's very tricky. Not 3 letters. It is 3 letters in total, but in the official documents we say that ABC followed by any combinations of 2 letters. Okay, and if you have passed the Morse code test with 12 words per minute, so you can choose from AA to WZ. So we've got PK over here. So his cosine is
PK.
Yeah, PK. VR2 PK. So you know that he has passed the Morse code exam. Yeah. So this is you can recognize someone by just seeing the cosines. But this is just how you can choose your cosine instead of your status or your level. We don't do that kind of stuff. So we can have a quick look. So you see that there are many numbers, but the good numbers are being chosen. So you don't have a lot of good numbers here. So when I take my class in with PK Sir, at the time I found that they don't have the cosine URL. So I try to do the UR2W, but no, and finally I find that VRL. Just before 5 minutes, I submit the form, so I chose that one. So you see that no, not very good numbers. But if you have passed your MOS exam, so we can see you got a lot of good numbers here. Oh, what this one? This is 12 minutes. Let's say for 5 minutes. So you can see, hey, here there's a a lot of good numbers, right? ACE, right? Yeah, very easy to remember. And I guess AMY is also here. So if you've got a friend called Amy, just ask her to take the exam. Let me check. Yeah, AMY is here. So you can see.
I have a girlfriend there. ANY.
Yeah.
Annie.
And yeah. So you can also
ANY.
Yeah.
ANN as
So
well.
yeah. So that's why
Yeah.
I'm planning to take the MOS exam, so that I can choose very good numbers. Like my name starts with B, right? So I can choose VR2B B1. Yeah, you see there.
BAD.
BAD.
Where can I access this page?
Oh, you can access this page. I guess I have. Here. I have included in my slides. Yeah. So you can. The title of this one is called. Just a minute. It's called. Wait. Let me.
Available cosine.
Yeah. Electronics licensing service for blah 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 blah. Yeah. So if you go back home and you got a computer, you can just click on this link and you can see this page. So for every document of OFCA, I have included a link, so you can always refer to them. Yeah. Always refer to the original copy. Yeah. And oh, I have to also explain this one. So sometimes if you check the MOS, the cosine, they got a little star at the back. So the star that's a cosine that was being used by others, but they didn't submit their fee to continue. So this cosine is released to the public once again. So when I applied for my cosine URL, I also see a star at the back. That is the cosine was being used by someone else.
After 3 years.
2 years. Yeah. They will hold the license. They will hold the cosine for you for 2 years. So if after 2 years you still didn't submit the fee to continue your cosine will be published and others can choose your cosine. Yeah. So you can try to read this page and choose your favorite cosine first. But always remember you have to choose 3 of them, in case others have registered faster than you. Okay, so I have explained this one. This is my cosine URL. Let's see if I can, yeah. Great. Okay, so this is the page ITU prefix. So if you play with the HF contest, that is using operate radio through a very long distance. We usually call the long distance as DX. And you can see that, if others have a cosine starting with AA to AI, so that they are from US. And for Japan, this is JP. And JA to JI is from Japan. And let's see if there are some very weird stuffs. I guess. Why the first character didn't have B? B is the most weird one. Oh, never mind. Okay.
But this is not in the exam question.
This is not in the exam question. So in the exam, you just have to remember what is VR2. That's enough. This is just for your reference. You don't have to exam this. You don't have to remember this. This is not covered in our exam. Just for your reference. If you are very interested with it, you can just memorize this one. But there is a very you have to remember one point. There are no cosines starting with Q. the Q is used for Q code, or we call in some other textbooks they call Q signal. So we don't have Q here, so that you don't mix up others Q code with the call sign. Yeah. So you can play with it. I mean, you can read it if you really want to know what is the ITU prefix of a country. Okay, so using New Zealand as an example, so you can see that they got a different rules, but in general it is very similar to Hong Kong. ZL means New Zealand, and in Hong Kong we just use 2, but in other countries they use different numbers to represent different zones. So we don't have to deal with it. In Hong Kong, just VR2, and they may have different numbers here. Okay. So you see that the rule of thumb, the call sign must start with an ITU prefix. Okay. Okay. Maybe we can take a break first. So if you are there anyone have to go to the toilet? No one to go to the toilet. Oh, up to that. Are there any questions? Not yet. Okay. No questions. Then I have to drink some water first. I'm very thirsty. Let me take a photo of. Oh, remember this. If you haven't write down your name in the logbook, you have to write it down. If you haven't paid for the $800, you have to pay to PK right now. Yeah. Oh, HKRAE. Wait. Oh, in the slides. Oh, let me just correct it. Okay. 邊頁啊？呢個。咦？點解我打錯幾次嘅？哎呀！誒係喎，我仲係咁打錯喎。改翻先，冇晒。
冇日子，超越唔啱日子嘅。
哦，呢度啊，
日子應該係未寫嘅，我哋自己寫。
有抬頭同埋
游水喎。
嗰啲
各位有水喎。
係有水啊！我哋有水。
有抬頭呢度。
係有抬頭。
我揾出嚟先嚇。
可唔可以整翻嗰個連接線先？連接線可以垂低啲，唔使咁。
長啲啊？
係啊，長啲好似。
夠唔夠頂啊？唔夠 voltage 啊？
夠 voltage。
唔知咧。
頭先有啲問，真係有啲問。我下次會諗計嘅啦。我懷疑就用 iPad 講都得，好似 iPad 舒服啲。iPad 可以喺上面玩。今日我主場。我主場。趁而家可以。
有啊
Facebook send message。
你打落去啊！打個
PowerPoint 度。
你寫低個名得啦。我俾個答案你㗎啦。
咩啊？
我再追佢。
係喺度，冇錯。
佢寄俾我都，我應該係俾幾鐘啊。
有冇帶機啊？
冇啊！今日手騰腳震啊，大佬。下個星期2帶啦，今日係啊，下堂帶。我今日冇諗住你嚟㗎嘛。
我唔嚟㗎，捧你場啊嘛。哦。我專登 cut short 有個靚女 meeting 嚟
哇！咁好。
有靚女我都唔招呼啊，招呼你。
哇！真係
入翻個波。
course fee
有名㗎嘛？
course fee 係700咁樣，記錯600。
哇！頭先話800喎，成
唔係800咩？
有個入會咧要
係咯，係咯，入會啊嘛，係咯，入會。Andrew 係咪有嘢想講？係咪？我打緊個
你彈咗佢出嚟。
咦？
睇唔到我哋。
我咪睇到我㗎。我開埋我自己一個 cam 先得啦，唔好意思啊。
嗰期點解會佢走出嚟嘅咧？佢唔使考牌㗎啦。
我deny。等冇住，我開翻我 cam 先。唉，橫掂而家咁好嘅時候，俾大家睇下我個靚仔樣。
佢個靚仔樣啊！咦，嗰次 contact 你哋買佢咯，佢嚟㗎咯。
哎呀，點樣改咧？啲
你見日文喎。即係
唔係個咩事？
冇啊 setting device setting speaker noise video oh just a minute let me
之後兩個咧，一係會長一係
唔係俾我嘅，應該係俾咗會長嘅。咁你就記得 cap 個圖，同會長講話，我已經俾咗錢你啦。
淨係睇到中文版，依家就出呢個版手啦。
耶！
Oh,
yeah, 100% copy. Yeah. Oh, so you can see my face. 你梳頭I'm sorry. Okay. Course fee first time. First time 唔知咩
Take control.
Yes. Just a minute. Yeah, allow. So you can control my screen. Yeah. Oh, animation. Oh, yeah. We have to pay 800. The first 100 is for your entrance admission fee, and the another $100 for your membership fee. So this is 200. Let me just a minute. Let me change my input method. So that you can't do okay. Okay, good. Okay. Yeah, I've changed to English, so you can just type. I've just changed it from Chinese to English. So it's 800 in total. So you can pay through FPS or check. The check title is
contribution.
Yeah, contribution towards the group. Oh, I'm not sure. I'm really not sure the title. Oh, so yeah, if you just pay the fee, so you can also tell Rudy, so it will help you do the admin stuff for you. So you don't have to worry about it. No, Rudy.
Okay, I relinquish control.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Can you just have a quick look at your WhatsApp?
Oh, sure. Okay. Oh, really? Oh, cause I have just add something
So
new.
you just picked it up.
Yeah. Oh, I can use iPad. Oh, I have also bring my iPad. Because I have my iPad here. But sometimes I find iPad is not as good as notebook. But I'm not sure. But I will try to see. Maybe in the next lesson or the second lesson I will use iPad. Because sometimes I have to draw down.
You can use both. Usually, the laptop is used for recording.
Oh, really?
And the laptop is used for you to react.
I can. Maybe I can also do.
You can join, so you can use both.
Oh. Yeah. Oh, but okay. Today we are not going to use this one yet. So that's okay. I'll just take it with me. Okay. So while we are resting, let me talk something about the exam. When I passed the some experience when I take the exam, the RAE. So most of the people don't sit here and sit for 3 hours. They just do it in half an hour and then they just leave the exam center. And at the time when I do my exam, it's like around 80 people, 80 candidates in the exam center in Changsha 1. But I don't know what is the passing percentage. But when I go to Wuchong and then collect my certificate, I only see there are around 10 names, 10 candidates who apply for the cert. So I guess the passing rate is not that high. But most of the people, they just randomly choose all the exam answers and then they leave the exam centers in less than 30 minutes. I don't know why.
How
They-
much for the exam fee?
It should be $350. Yeah. So I don't know why they come over here. They don't study and then they just do it random.
Is it pass fail?
Yes, pass fail.
So
And
they won't tell you
they won't tell you.
the
They,
highest score you scored.
yeah. Yeah, but I've tried to call FCA and ask, hey, can I know what is the score? I'm going to your office. Can you just show me? They said, oh no, you can't. You can't read. You can't know how much score you have. Yeah, it's very strange. But if you try to argue with them and say that, hey, I want to have an appeal, then they will take your answer sheets to you. So I don't know why. So maybe you can just apply for an appeal to know your score.
But when you pass, you can't. There's no excuse for you to pass.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you say that I want to have higher score.
I want
It's
to
no
know
difference,
full
they tell you.
marks.
Yeah, I want to aim for full marks. Hey, this question is not good. I'm going to have some discussion with you. Some things like this.
Is there any mechanism to indicate on answer sheet that there's some doubtful questions with something
Oh.
like there's no correct answer or something like that?
Oh, I have. Let me use my TV. Just a minute. Okay. At the time, I have asked the asked the staffs in OFCA so that they will give you two booklets. No, a question book, which is like 15 pages. 15 sheets of A4 paper, 30 pages printed on both sides. A question book, so you can draw anything on the question book, but they will collect it back after your exam, and they will give you answer sheets. The answer sheet is very stupid. So they are already MC questions, right? You have to write down every questions A B C D E A B C D on the paper, from 1 to 100 A B C D blah blah blah. I don't know why they don't use the helping book. Helping book is what? Yeah, EA, the EA version's MCE paper. I don't know why.
Like
Yeah.
you cover the boxes. Or
No, you have to really write down A B C D on that paper. They will print in the Excel
so
to you.
If your handwriting is not discernible,
Yeah.
Sometimes A and D can be
Yeah.
mistaken, and they will.
So you have to be very careful of your handwriting.
I can't remember what, because I've done my exam about 20 years ago. I think it was like
Really
something
writing
like,
down the letter,
the
the alphabets.
filling the boxes, right? With
Yeah.
the pencil.
Before I go to the exam center, I really think this drawing the box, painting it in the black color, but no, really writing down the alphabets. And if they don't allow you to use correction fluid, you have to cross out your answer if you think you are wrong.
Pen or in pencil?
pen, you can only bring pen to the exam center. But what I mean is you can only use pen to write down your answer. Okay,
Not
you can
pencil.
not pen. They didn't mention it very clearly, but no, really no. Okay, I will always suggest you to use pen, and not a erasable pen, but a really pen, stuff like this. But when I go to exam center, I bring a pen with multiple colors, so that I can circle the questions, and then when I do my exams, I write down all the answers on the question book first, and then once I complete the whole exam, I copy the answer back to my answer sheet, so that it's guaranteed every question is copied to the answer to the correct place, and I can always know which questions I'm now referring to, and are there any questions that I didn't write down the answer. So if I just copy it, it is much easier workload compared to attempt the questions one by one. Yeah. But if you have studied the regulations and laws,
Do you know if everyone sitting in the same exam will have the same questions, or they have they have different 4 or 5 question books for and distribute randomly so that you don't look across other shoulders too?
we don't know.
Right, you don't know.
But I guess they are the same exam question booklets. Yeah. Because why I say so is because if you do it in a random way, they have to match your question book. They have a unique number, and they ask you to write down. But no, there are no any serial number or unique numbers on your page. Not even ABCD printed on your question book. So I guess they are the same. Yeah.
But do you know if they are similar from exam to exams, like last year's?
Yes.
Early this year, they're similar.
Yes, they are
Or identical, or
not identical, but the concepts they are asking you is the same. Like
just number is different.
yeah, if you know Ohm's law, if you know the regulations, like how many years before your renewal, you have to renew your license, that kind of stuff. They are nearly the same, but sometimes they may not ask you questions. Like when in my class, I really study about one questions, and I really type the numbers in my calculator. Let me show you which one. This one. Yeah.
Frequency.
Yes, this one. So this one is the radio hazardous, and talks about the radio frequency and the E field strength, blah blah blah. So at the time, I really can't memorize these numbers. So I just set a variable in my calculator and save all of them to my calculator.
And
These questions didn't appear in my exam, so it will be likely in your exam.
The left-hand side, the frequency.
Yeah, the left hand side frequency, and the middle one is the electric field that you can withstand in average of six minutes, and the last one is the equivalence, the power density.
So all of them you have to know.
Yeah, you have to memorize all of this. But if you are a DSE A level or DSE students, you haven't thrown away your calculator. There are some tricks you can play with.
Do you need the approved calculator?
Yes, you will need
the one with the
yeah,
marking. right?
HKRAE approved. Yes. I would suggest to take one calculator to exam center if you are familiar with the math. If you know how the calculations, just bring 1 or 2 to the exam center. There are more than 15. Yeah, this one. This is 3650p, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, and they got different versions here. So I will talk about calculators later time. Let me go back to my slides. Oh, let me see. If I have missed any stuff. Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, we have just go back from here. So we have roughly an hour left. ITU. So you have to memorize what is ITU. So ITU is the biggest organization to deal with the band planning stuff. So what band planning is, there are some frequencies they have mentioned that different zones can use different bands for the emergency communications. So we are not going to go through the details, but what you have to know is the world is divided into 3 zones. Hong Kong is in region 3. And yeah, just they may ask you which region you are in. So you have to memorize it. So Africa, Europe, and Russia, it is in region 1. And United States, South Africa is region 3. And for the rest of the Asia, it is region 3. This is region 2, region Europe, Russia, and Africa, region 1. US, South Africa, region 2. China, India, and parts of where this is. I'm not sure. I'm not good at geography, so I can't remember where this is. And Australia. Oh,
Pakistan,
yeah.
Afghanistan, Iran.
The mid.
There's a
Middle
round.
East.
Yeah,
Middle
mid,
East.
yeah.
There's a round.
And for this one, the Australia and New Zealand, it is in region 3. So always remember that we are in region 3. So we have to follow some regulations of ITU in region 3.
Question.
Yeah.
How come they don't make Antarctica region 4?
I don't know why. I really don't know why. But you can drop an email to ITU and ask them, hey, why this is divided in this way? But I guess they just because. Oh, let me check. We can check. We have some time, right? ITU region. Oh, actually the web is drawing this way. So the South Pole is not being it's not in any region. But I don't think they will give you questions like that tricky. Yeah. This is a tricky. Let me see. Yeah. No. Really no.
South Pole is not included.
Yeah, South Pole is not included. This map is just for your easy memorization.
That's wrong.
It's yeah, but they won't.
Politically incorrect.
It's part, just this part. So you just ignore them. So there are some more methods to locate ourselves. For ITU zones, how ITU zones is different from ITU region. So you just have to memorize ITU region in the exam. Okay, Hong Kong is in region 3. There are different location methods. So I didn't include the map because you don't have to remember it. You really don't have to remember that. So yeah, as the CQ magazine divides the world into 40 zones, and ITU zone is Hong Kong is in zone 44. So when we are going to use this zone number, so when we go to the HF contest held by the IRU, we will have to locate ourselves. We will have to mention which zone we are in. So they will ask us if we are in zone 44. Yes. So they just can prevent others calling into a wrong person. Like if the recipient is saying that he is having a call sign starting with VR2, but his zone is not 44. So you know that there are definitely some problems in your communications. So if you misheard his call sign or misheard his zone number, yeah.
If I move to other country, if I do the contest in other country,
Yeah.
I can still use my Hong Kong call sign.
It's really varies in different laws. In Hong Kong, if you are from other countries, more than 3 months, and you want to engage in the radio calling, you have to add VR2/ before your call sign. So we will know where you're from. VR2/ for example, JA1 blah blah blah. So you definitely have the VR2. Yeah. And if you are staying in Hong Kong for more than 6 months and have a residence here, so you can directly apply for VR2 call sign. Yeah. As I remember. Okay. Andrew asked me to include this one. But in personally speaking, I will always suggest you to apply for both ASL and ATO. So in the documents that's provided by OFCA, they said that ASL is to process, establish, maintain, in short, which is to hold, to establish a radio station, and to the second one, the licensee can use the station as a part of sanctioning, which means you can establish a radio station and to call with it. And the ATO is to operate with it. But most of the time, you encounter problems if you don't apply both of them. Example one, if you go to HARTS and you don't want to have any equipment with you, if you don't buy a radio with you, so you can just apply for ATO to operate. And that's example two, if you want to set up radio on your car, you can apply for ASL but not ATO. But it is always recommended to apply both of them. The cost is not that huge, right? So I would suggest to apply both of them. Yeah. But there is, if you really want to know what is the difference between them, here's the information you need. Okay. Okay, so we can take a deep breath, and we'll have some 10 sample questions for you to try with. So you can know how much questions you know before you take the course. Okay, question one. Which of the following frequency bands is allocated for amateur satellite service on a secondary bias? Okay, so we haven't go through terms on secondary bias, right? So definitely you are not going to know what is the correct answer. We'll go through this information next Tuesday. So we can, there is a general rule to remember. This is the 144 and 435. So before 144, most of them are for primary bias. There is a difference between primary bias and secondary bias. Primary bias means as a ham, you can nearly take full control in the band. But on a secondary bias, the band may be used for future use, maybe planned for future use. So if there are any jamming, any interference, you can't complain with it. So this is the main difference between primary bias and secondary bias. So we can take a look. So which is for secondary bias. So it is actually included in the Annex B1 of this paper, the ASL, the amateur station license, in page the schedule 1. So you see that the primary bias means this one, the primary. Secondary bias means secondary, this one. Okay. So you know that secondary bias is this band. The answer is this one. 4-3. Let me see. I'm very afraid if I'm wrong. Yeah. The answer is this one. The answer is 3. Yeah. So you have to memorize this one. Okay. The second one is the phonetic alphabets. So we will also go through with it. So how do we? What is the code used for transmitting the letters OFCA? So use my call sign as an example. When I have to address myself, VR2 URL, I have to call myself Victor Romeo 2, Uniform Romeo Lima. So this is how we call the phonetic alphabets. We have to pronounce every alphabet in a word. So that's if in case there are any noise or interference, the people can still understand which characters, which alphabets you are trying to name. Okay.
The answer is 4.
Yes, the answer is 4. Yes. So you can, there are some
Not
rules.
exactly. Not
Oscar.
exactly.
Not exactly.
Yeah.
It should be alpha, right?
Your answer is right, but his answer is wrong.
Yeah.
The last one should be ALPJ.
Right.
Uh,
ALPHA.
Hello?
The answer is ASLA, AFA. So we can try. You can check.
Alpha.
But I really get different informations.
We
But
learn that from watching war movies.
yeah. So we follow the rules called NATO phonetic alphabets. So in the wiki, you can say that the
What if you're Russian?
you still have to follow this one. So it's a general rule. So you see that the first letter is A,
Oh,
L, F,
alpha.
A,
That's what I see.
alpha.
It's alpha.
But
Alpha.
I see there are different versions, and there are really people saying that's ALPHA.
But it doesn't matter because it's not supposed to
Yes.
be written down.
Yes,
it's
it is.
supposed to be pronounced.
Yes.
Yes.
So they really want to trick you,
Ima.
just leave it alone. So, but at least you have other characters to try with, right? You still got another 25 characters. But if it's not alpha, like Anna, so you know it's definitely wrong, right?
But I like that answer. Cat.
Yes. Yeah, I also will. So the C start with the pronunciation of k. So they have to right? So they have, I don't know how they, what is the rule, but they use Charlie to represent character C, not cat. Maybe it will be easy to mix with
Yeah.
K. So I,
Has 2 vowels.
yeah, 2 vowels.
Two
So
vowels.
ch is Charlie, and F is Foxtrot. 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 Yeah. This one is the easiest questions in your answer. So you don't need to memorize all 26 characters, but I will suggest you to try to memorize all of them.
This is easy.
Because this score, you must score this one.
This is not
If you really
difficult.
failed in these questions, the other hams will laugh at you. So don't take this question wrong. Okay. So the first questions: what will happen if a VHF or UHF signal is blocked by a metallic object? So this is a really physics questions, a high school physics question. So if you don't have any physics background, you have to pay a little more attention in starting from lesson 4 when we go to the physics stuffs. Okay, so what is the answer? Scattered in exosphere, go around the object, bent by the ionosphere, reflect. So as we have just said that VHF, it is in the long term, it is written as very high frequency. U is ultra high frequency. So both of them is a kind of microwave, which is a kind of light. So you know light will reflect on metallic object, right? So the answer is 4. They will reflect by the object. Okay. But there are some exceptions. If you play with long wavelength, we'll encounter stuff like diffraction, but there is not the stuff that I want to talk today. Just remember to reflect. VHF, reflect, because it is just a light. Okay. And which of the following material is best material for earthing rod? PVC, aluminium, copper, and fiberglass. Copper, yes. This question is really tricky because I have you see that aluminium is also a kind of good conductor, right? But it is not allowed to be used in Hong Kong as a kind of earthing rod. So the only answer is copper. But in the other countries, they may allow you to use aluminium. Yeah, earthing rod must be copper. Which of the following equals to 300 and 430 milliwatts? So it is a SI prefix conversion.
Number 1.
Number two.
Number Number two, divided by 1000. Milli is 10 to the power negative 3. Yeah. So we'll have things like this. If you have a calculator, you can got these questions correct easily. You got a EXP button on your 3650. So you can just press Shift EXP and get the answer. Yes. We will go through it in the lesson 4, because I'm now writing notes up on this. You have encountered this kind of unit conversion. Oh, I want to know how many of you have is in science background or engineering background, or you have already passed the HKRAE. You? How about?
I passed.
No background.
No background, really. I see you are joking. Oh, okay. Okay, bipolar transistor. See, we've got to have time on this, because for this part, I really spent a lot of time on memorizing this one. But finally, they
Number 3.
should be number 3. I'm not sure, so we can check later. But although it is written in the syllabus, I didn't encounter this question in my exam. Yeah, really. So I guess you may or may not, but it is just one question, at most one question. So if you can't really memorize this one, you only lose 1 score out of 100. So you don't have to worry about it. Okay. What is the RMS value of 622 volts peak-to-peak pure sine wave? I forgot. It should be 2022. So you can calculate what is the RMS. We will go through the RMS in lesson 6, should be, or lesson 5.
Number 2.
Number 2, yes. So in our daily use electricity, it is transferred as a sine wave, which is called alternating current AC. So AC is not unlike a battery; it is going in a sine wave. So we have to calculate the RMS. What is from AC converting to DC? What is the equivalent value of voltage? We'll go through this one in our later course. So how to calculate is divide by 2 and divide by 1 over square root 2. And why is square root 2 is because you need to learn calculus. I'm not going to explain it. Is yes.
No need.
Oh really?
Just square.
Oh
Yeah, just square.
really? But
Yeah, just square. Then
Why?
becomes like this, and then cut half, and the average. Square, and then take them.
oh yeah.
That's why
Yeah.
it means square.
Yeah, root mean square. And what is the main purpose of transmitter shielding? So shielding is the way. What is shielding is have a cage, or maybe I just give you the answer. The answer is prevent RF radiation. So shielding, if you know what is the Faraday cage or a metal shield, it can prevent the radio signal escaping to the space. Give you an example. When you are in the elevator, in the lift, you can't call others. You can't use your phone, right? You cannot connect to the internet. This is because the lift itself is a big metal box, which is a kind of shielding. So it can prevent the signals escaping from the lift. So using the same concepts, it can prevent unwanted RF radiation. Right? Yes. And okay, what is the test instrument for display surplus emission? So surplus emission is the term saying that there is some emission, it is non-targeted, not you. Maybe you want to emit at 430 megahertz, but there is signals in other places. So this signal out of the band very far away, which we call the surplus emission. So we can measure. How to measure is we need to use what is the. So you can see a term and try to guess what is used. Wattmeter. So it is measuring watts, right? So watt is the unit of power, which we'll go through in lesson 4. And so this is not likely to related to emission, right? It's measure of power, how much energy you consume. Logic analyzer, okay, is nothing related to logic, right? You see, it's not logical. So spectrum analyzer. So you also see the terms voltmeter. Voltmeter is to measure voltage. So the lesson, the answers, the only answers you left is spectrum analyzer. So spectrum analyzer can give you a very wide range of. It can receive a very wide range of signal. So you can see at which frequency there is a signal appears. Let's see how many. Oh yeah, this is the last question. Produce a stable and low level signal, blah blah. So you can see the word signal, right? Signal generator. It is that easy, full of common sense, right? And you can see that most of the questions can be deduced into 1 or 2 correct answers using common sense, if it's not involving any calculations. So just if you really can't memorize things, when you go to exam center, just use common sense. Don't drill into questions too deep. Most of the questions, like 80% of the questions, is as simple as this one. Yeah. Don't think the exam is very difficult. The exam is becoming easier in these 10 years because now the exam is held by OFCA instead of IFE. At the time when it is held by IFE, it is much more calculation oriented. Yeah.
It's
Very
technical.
theory.
I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes they give you a circuit diagram
Yeah.
and they ask you, at this point, what is the voltage? It's like involving transistor,
We don't have.
all these RLC circuit.
Oh,
And you have to really have a deep knowledge of how
uh,
electronics works.
when I do my exam, I only see one or 2 questions about LRC circuits, really. So for the other calculations, all of them, at least 3 questions about Ohm's law. So if you know what is V equals to IR, you can have definitely 3 scores, 3 points. So really don't worry about it. If you know how to use a calculator. Oh, yeah, it is from my experience. Around 15% of questions require calculations. But if you are saying that, is it at easy that it is just plus or minus, or if you don't need the calculators to help you the calculation, I will say no. It is better for you to bring a calculator with you. Because some of the digits are really, it takes a lot of time to do the division or multiplication stuffs. If you don't want to spend this time, the amount of time to do it by manual, I would suggest you to ask if you have any friends have a calculator. So I have 2 with me, so you can ask me to borrow one of you. Yeah.
You can rent a calculator.
Yeah, I can rent. I'm
for $10.
Yeah. I can borrow one to you if you really don't have a calculator.
You have to understand how to use a calculator.
Yeah.
Because every calculator has a different logic.
Yes. And if you have a calculator with you, make sure the word HKRAE approved is printed. So you can see that here, right? HKRAE approved. If you have a calculator having the same model number, but this word is missing, you have to go back to HKRAE and reprint it. Yes, otherwise they don't allow you to use this calculator. This is the rule of HKRAE.
You gotta buy a new one.
Yeah. So, but a new one costs around $300.
No problem.
No problem.
I sell it back to you.
So if you don't have a calculator, just ask me, I will borrow it to you. Okay. I'm not sure if I have got 3 at home or 2, but I must have 2 at home. So you can ask me. Yeah. And if you really want to buy a calculator, use these 2 models. These 2 are the new model. And okay, so I personally will suggest you, if you really want to buy one, use the FX50 FX2. I'm not getting any income from the ads, but I'm not selling you to buy this one. But there are some advantages for you if you buy this one. FX50 FX have some built-in formulas which can help you to calculate the answers or to doing some checking. This voltage gain, which is dB, RLC circuits, the impedance in series circuits or parallel circuits, and the frequency of electric oscillation, which is the LRC circuit for resonance frequency.
Yeah.
Yes. So if you really read the manual and know how to operate this one, you will at least get 2 to 3 more points in your exam. But the first thing is you have to understand how the equation works. Yeah. So there is a little plus if you buy this calculator. But all the calculators are fine as long as it got HKRAE approved, the word. Okay. Maybe I will spend a lesson on how to use this calculator if you really got one at home. Okay, so we will go through the exam syllabus. The exam syllabus URL is at the bottom of the slides. Our exam syllabus breaks down into 10 parts. The regulations and licensing conditions. Okay, the first part has already covered nearly 30 to 40% of the exam. So if you get all these questions correct, you are very close to the passing score already. Interference, I'm not sure how much percentage it is, but the calculations itself takes around 15%. And the rest interference, the operating procedures. Operating procedures, I guess is only 3 to less than 5 questions. And radio and electricity, the semiconductors, logic circuits. Logic circuits, they will just ask you 1 question. So you don't have to spend any time on it if you really can memorize. The only questions they will ask you is, they give you a logic circuit and ask you what is the equivalent and so you know what is AND gate or gate, what is AND or not, NAND, exclusive or that kind of stuff. They will give you a very complicated, not very complicated, but at least 3 components, logic circuit with 3 components, and ask you what is the equivalent. Is this exclusive or is this an AND gate, that kind of stuff. They'll ask you to analyze. If you think it is very complicated and don't know what I'm talking about, just don't memorize it. The 1 point is not important to you. You don't have to spend a lot of time to understand this question. Propagation and antenna, measurement, and basic knowledge of types of amateur surface. But I guess the type of amateur surface, they may not appear in the questions. Sometimes but you have to understand if you join the ham activities. Okay, let me check how much slides I've got. Hey, how come it is so much? Application of ASL. Okay. So once you pass your exam, you can go to OFCA to submit your application form to apply for your license, which is the ASL. Yes, ASL and ATO. At the time, I applied 3 of them: ASL, ATO, the passing certificates of the exam, HKRAE. Okay, and I found there a little secret for the online submission. And when I get my passing letter, and I really go to apply for my call sign at the same time. Like, I received my letter at 1 p.m. and I go to online application at 3 p.m. And I go to building Wuchong at 5 p.m. and I ask the staff there, hey, have you received my application? They said, oh no, we haven't received your application. So I know that there is a little delay between the system and at the time your submission is not processed immediately. Okay, I will put it this way. Your online application is not being processed immediately. The quickest way is to go to building Wuchong, 26th floor, and ask the staff, hey, can you give me a manual form to write on it? And at the time they give you the form, they will give you a paper like this. Let me check if I get my receipts with me. Maybe I should give. Oh no, I didn't bring my receipt with me. Maybe I can show you next time. Maybe. Oh yeah, I got it. Yeah, so I at the day end, before they off work, I got a receipt like this, and then they give me a call sign when I submit the fee. So you can pass it around to have a look, because they just got my name on the receipt, but not any other. Let me check. Yeah, you see. So you can have a look. So if you are very urgent and want to get your call sign as soon as possible, go to their office, 26th floor. And to apply for ASL or ATO, you have to these stuffs. Your identity card.
182.
The 2 is wrong. I don't know why they have 2. Yeah.
Very lenient.
18. Yeah. HKRAE card or passport. And you have to bring your guardian with you if you are age below 18. Yeah. And paragraph 2.2 means that they will send you a letter if you pass your exam. So you have to bring your letter to OFCA and apply for the license. Okay, because our course is not going to talk about the Morse code, so we are not going to deal with it. Just the passing, the letter proving you have passed the exam, your identity card. That's all. And cash. Remember to bring enough cash, or you can pay with check. Oh, nowadays they also allow you to pay with FPS. So you can ask them what is your pay code and FPS to them. Yeah. Once you pass the examination fee is $350, and they haven't changed the price for a very long time. And ASL is valid for 1 year, and so you have to renew it per annual, $150. And your ATO, which is the little green card, it is valid for 5 years, and you have to pay for $160 per 5 year. So once you pass the exam, you have to pay for $310. Yeah. So you have to remember to bring $310. If you apply for the certificates, you have to pay for an extra dollar for, I forgot, what is the price? I guess they mentioned it. Oh, $20. Yeah. You have to pay for $20. And I was.
What is the use for that certificate?
Oh, 100.
Because I can't remember I applied for that.
Oh, the cert is not useful, but a proof that you have passed the exam. But it is very pretty, and I really love it. And the most
Good for
important,
interview, right?
good for interview. But the most important part is the cert at the back. They will say that the exam is compliant for CEPT. So if you go to other countries in Europe or the UK and you want to apply for their call sign, you must have this cert. This cert is the only proof that HKRAE is compliant with CEPT. Yeah. Otherwise, you can't.
I lost my cert.
Oh, that's too bad. You have to reapply it.
I have to retake
So
the
that
exam.
if you are not going to leave Hong Kong, the cert may not be that useful to you. But if you really want to apply call sign in other places, you will need it. Oh, and the certs at the back, this is written in different languages. Apart from English, they got, I guess it is Spanish or French. Yeah, or French, yeah. So that's,
Italy.
I don't know. So I will always suggest you to also apply for that cert. Not, and this is just a one-time course. In general, you won't reapply the cert, right? Right? If you lost it and what a pity.
I didn't know they can apply.
Okay, and this one is also very important, but it is not included in the exam. So if you want to go to travel and you can see different equipments that are very cheap, like the ham radio, the device to emit the radio, the handheld radio, or for car, that kind of stuff. You must ask for the OFCA and the custom for import permit. You can't just buy a handheld radio and go back to Hong Kong, or from Hong Kong bringing a radio from Hong Kong to other countries. You must seek for the approval for the equivalent of OFCA in other country and the custom. Otherwise, you will be in trouble. They can I forgot the term.
Prosecute.
Yeah, they can prosecute you. Yeah, so maybe they will send you to jail and fine for very high price. In Hong Kong, it is at least 50,000 to 100,000, and maybe prosecution for 2 years at max. So it is really important if you to follow the instructions and follow the rules and follow the laws. Don't try to bring a handheld. Don't try to bring any radio without the import permits of other countries. Or when you are traveling, you must seek for the import permits from OFCA and the custom. Oh, mainly from OFCA. Yeah. Yeah. And once you pass the exam, so you can enjoy the ham radio. So you can this is the ham radio rules. So you have to value ham radio is very perfect, and all the people are sharing the same resources, the airtime. So you have to respect others and don't try to interfere with the others. If the others is using the same frequency with you, you may have to listen to others first and try to see if there are someone using the band. If there are someone using the band, just switch to another band to communicate. Don't try to interfere them. Okay. But I see that there are some ham saying that the people in mainland China are always jamming the band, so it's a very bad practice. Like when we are playing the HF contest, so HF sharing my own experience again. At the time when we play with the HF contest, there is a band. We play with 115 to 130 megahertz. So in this band, we are supposed to listen to others calling our call signs and engage in the contest. But we are seeing that there are many mainlanders using the band 127, and they are trying to communicate on their own. But suppose this band is being used in the contest now, so you should switch to other band and play with it on your own, not trying to jamming our band for the contest. So this is a very bad behavior.
So how do they know this band is being used?
Oh, you can listen to others, and you can check the diary, check the calendar, and if cause there are many people calling at that band, so you know definitely there's something happening here. Yeah.
Courtesy.
Yeah. So this is why we say you have to always listen to others, like listen for 30 seconds, see if there are anyone calling the band. If no, then you can start your CQ, which is try to see others if there are anyone also at the band listening to you. Okay. And when we are using the ham, so we are calling others through the radio wave, we have to name our call sign. So always be reminded that you are representing your country. So we are representing Hong Kong. So we should be polite and don't speak any vile language, or don't do harassment, don't speak vile language, don't do weird stuffs over the band. Okay, just talk about the technical stuffs, like what equipment am I using, what is the frequency am I using. So we'll go through these details in our logbook, but we shouldn't do it for like playing music or propaganda. This is forbidden in our license. Yeah. So maintaining and expanding. So one of the rules is to maintain and expanding the amateur service. So this is one of the aim. That's why we are here, to set up different courses to train people in the amateur radio society. Yeah. So in the ham radio, we can do different stuffs. So ham radio contesting. So we have shared experience to you. What is the contesting? Chasing DX, which is the DX is the long distance communication. So we have the QSL card logbook for the world, and we got different QSL card here. So we can. Oh, we have some time. So let me see how much slide if we got. Oh, this is the last slide. Oh, so I can show you the QSL card. Yeah. So QSL card is something very similar to a postcard. So postcard is when you travel to a place, you will send a postcard to your friends saying that, oh, I've been here. QSL card is the card when you communicate with others successfully. You can ask them to send you a QSL card, and you can send them a QSL card back. So this is a proof of both you and the recipient have communicated in the air. Yeah. So it is a very unique experience. So you have to know how much luck you'll need to communicate with the other people around the world, right? It is not that easy to communicate. We have to see if our atmosphere allows us to do so. Yeah. So we will talk about the weather, and there are some luck involved into called DX. Yeah. So you can see. I remember there should be one card in the South Pole, right?
South Pole.
I'm not sure. Maybe you can check. You can have a look. So I'm seeing which one is communicated through the HF.
Do you have a card from King of Jordan?
Must be gold.
I'm not sure.
He was very avid.
Oh yeah. PK should have mentioned that to us, but
King of Thailand.
I'm not
HX1K.
that's sure.
King of Thailand. HX1K.
The current king or the past? The past one.
Should be the past king. Okay, and we have logbook of the world. Logbook of the world is apart from writing your own logbook, you can write down all the informations, the communication informations into a website, so that the prize you get, you can be logged. Like if you win a contest, you can go to the logbook and as a proof, and others can know, oh, which prize have you got. And satellite communications, oh, we have got devices here to communicate through satellite, which is this one. We can use the satellite to call different people. The satellite will act as a repeater, so that you can call Japan and the China or the Philippines. I don't know, maybe the Philippines. This is very unique experience because you have to know which satellite is in the sky, and you have only 10 minutes airband, 10 minutes time for you to call the satellite, and then let the signal reflect back to the Earth. So you have to do a lot of preparation before you try this thing. And I'm lucky that I got an experience with PK Sir to play with the amateur radio, and some of the committees like WTM to play with the satellite. So WTM is one of our committees and play with the satellite communications. Okay. And we got other operations play with. So most of the time we will play with VHF and UHF, because VHF and UHF is for so-called short distance communications. And if you want to call people in Hong Kong, you can just use a handheld radio to call with them. So we have some time and we can try to call if there are any people in Taimo Mountain. And radio finding, we call DF, which is some people they will carry the antenna with them and try to find out where the radio is. So this is the first class for our introduction of the ham. So
What is moon bounce?
moon bounce is we send a signal to the moon, and then the moon they got repeaters or a different repeaters. Yeah, for the moon, and the signal will bounce back to the Earth.
Takes two and a half seconds.
So you can try to use some device with very high power and try to send a signal and see if others can receive it back from the Earth.
It's what we call satellite communication.
Yeah,
That's the
much
oldest
far
satellite we have.
from
That's the real satellite.
The
real satellite.
original authentic satellite.
Yeah, the real
Always
satellite,
have.
not the artificial
No,
satellite.
Yeah.
no. It's
Real
far,
satellite,
Far,
yeah.
far
Yeah.
away.
Okay. So you see if there are any, you have any things to add for the slides. So if no, we'll have some Q&A time to see if you have any questions in the introduction. No? So if there are no questions, let's see if you want to have some experience from me for the
頭先咧
examinations.
我 WhatsApp group 㗎，
哦，係啊，係啊，係啊，係啊。
我遲嚟咧我
哦。
加
等，呢度。So you can join our WhatsApp group. If you don't have the WhatsApp group, you just have the signal. You can send a signal, drop a signal to me directly, and I will send you the materials of today through WhatsApp or signal. Okay. So basically, I will put all the materials here. Okay, and I will also send you the materials on license. It's better for you. You can download your own version, but I will share a copy in the WhatsApp group. Okay, so I've also sent you the copy of the Google Drive for the